South Korea is preparing for federal elections after the Constitutional Court upheld the impeachment of former President Yoon Suk-yeol. Analysts are expecting the transition of power to set the stage for a shift towards progressive economic and social reforms. Meanwhile, officials say they're closely monitoring financial markets to maintain stability and will respond promptly to Trump's tariffs. Joining us exclusively is I준석, presidential candidate of the Reform Party here in South Korea. Great to have you with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
I asked you before we came on air about the future of the conservatives here in South Korea. You're actually doubtful of an existing future itself.
Oh, I'm going to have to question, does the conservatives in Korea do have any future, right? Because, two presidents in a row from the conservative faction has been impeached. So we are seeking that a future has to come with a really serious reform. So our party is seeking for such reforms. Yeah.
Is it more difficult also because we're seeing these U.S. tariffs? Conservatives have closely aligned with Washington, and now they seem not a very reliable partner.
If you go outside in Seoul and if you see in the streets, there are people from conservative faction waving the American flag. And they are thinking that Americans are going to come to help the impeached president. But it didn't happen, so they're kind of in despair right now. And the recent tariffs by Donald Trump has been causing a real turmoil in Korean industries because they imposed 26% reciprocal tariff on Korea and 46% on Vietnam, which is a major manufacturing facility for Korea. And Donald Trump refused to put any tariffs on Russia yet, so which means that from Korean point of view, does that mean that we have to move our manufacturing facilities to Russia? Those kind of all these questionable decisions he made is putting Korea into turmoil.
You think
right
that will affect voters' decision in the presidential election?
Definitely. Before, for the conservative faction of Korea, anything that U.S. decides was in favor of Korea, they thought. But now they think otherwise. So, which means that Korean people are going to pay more attention to diplomacy and, say, trade issues in this upcoming election.
How is your conservative brand different from the rest of the other conservatives here?
Well, we were going forward the impeachment in the recent impeachment trial. And at the same time, we believe we are representing the younger generation of Korea, which have different views on international politics and, say, trade issues and all these kind of stuff. Because older generations in Korea, older conservatives in Korea, they were grown in a developing Korea, which means that they want to get exempt from all these international burdens that Korea had to carry. But whereas the younger generation think that we can carry more burdens in the international sector and we can voice more in the international sector.
The younger generation that also includes many angry men, how would you respond to people who say that you're actually fueling some of those gender divisions here in South Korea?
Well, there has been gender divisions for about 10 or 20 years to now because in Korea, as you know, the Korean society was after Confucianistic ideals, and now society is changing. So the role of women in Korea is changing rapidly. So we are adapting to such changes right now. And some people are a little more faster than other people, and some people are a little more slower than other people. So we are seeing those gaps in gender roles and gender equality issues. Yeah.
So how will you tackle that gap?
Well, I'm going to have to say that I got education in the U.S., so I'm mostly ahead of most of the people in those issues, and people blame me for...
The U.S. seems to be retracing a lot of the progress that it made when it comes to
Trump,
equality.
So I'm not going to say the U.S. in general is moving that
Trump
way.
of South Korea at times.
Well, I deny that because I really am against the kind of policies that Donald Trump is laying out right now. Including those free trade related issues and those kind of stuff. So I'm going to have to say there are some things that I have to make up on, but at the same time, I'm going to try to advance Korea into a more, say, developed country, and at the same time, pay more attention to these kind of social issues, and those kind of changes are what the younger generation, younger conservatives in Korea are actually looking forward to.
You'll need to actually win in the presidential elections, but you trail main candidates right now. How will you try to overcome that gap?
Well, this election wasn't expected, so the candidates have not laid out their pledges yet. But I'm going to be more reformative in laying out my pledges, and the younger generation will definitely respond to those kind of new type of pledges that I lay out.
Will you see coalitions with different candidates?
Well, most people assume that because I'm from the conservative faction that I'm going to be aligning myself with the PPP candidates if they're decided, but I say no because, conservative faction needs some changes, and they are refusing to change right now. So unless they are catching up with us in terms of changes, then it's very unlikely in this election that we're going to be aligning ourselves with the old conservatives, the PPP.
I준석, it was really great to have you with us. Thank you very much for that. Reform Party presidential candidate. And Bloomberg will continue to follow this story and, of course, reaching out to other parties as well.